Hi, I'm Marcel Blanchet, and thank you for tuning in to Let's Talk. We're here to bring some interesting people from the Connecticut shoreline that have something to share, and that's what we're all about. Today it gives me a great pleasure to introduce a man that they call the man of the waterfront. Always the fresh ideas. This man starting out in his teenage years as an iron worker, boat dealer, and then a lobster boat captain. He's here to talk about his book, Man of the Waterfront, the story of Kaye Williams and Captain's Cove. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Kaye Williams, the founder and owner and operator of the Captain's Cove Seaport in Bridgeport, Connecticut. He calls the people's place. Hey, Kaye, let's talk. How are you?
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
His book was authored by a guy named Ralph Harvey?
Yes, Ralph
Okay.
Harvey.
Tell me, how did you meet Ralph and how did this book all start?
He just kind of bumped into the Cove office, and his real interest was in airplanes, and I love airplanes, and one thing led to another, and he said, hey, I was going to do a book on you, and that's the way, and that took like, oh my God, over a year. I didn't realize how wild that gets.
Yeah, and it's got a great picture of you in the front. Man of the Waterfront, the story of Kaye Williams and Captain's Cove.
Great guy.
Ralph Harvey. And I've read many parts of this book. Some of the history of you, my friend, is amazing. Tell me about, some of the things that you did and that are in part of this book so people can understand.
Well, first of all, I grew up during the Depression. I was born in 1929. And I have to tell you, in all honesty, I'd do it all over again right now because I had a great time. And I met so many great people, mechanics and doctors and whatever you want to call them. Just good people, down-to-earth people. And from there, it just took off. I just kept getting more involved.
More involved with people and all different walks of life. And then how did you get into aircraft? Because what Ralph was really interested in was airplanes and aircraft.
Yeah, well, I think the main thing, of course, was Gustav Whitehead.
Who was that again?
Gustav Whitehead, the first to fly.
Right.
And in fact, the state of Connecticut and the governor brings him in as the first person to fly. So from there on, it's been...
Actually, before the Wright brothers, is that right?
Yeah, definitely,
okay.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Here's an immigrant that comes into this country and had a really tough time because he spoke with a heavy brogue. He was a German. And after World War I, people hated the Germans. They hated them. And it was, either burning churches or beating the hell out of them, But either way, he progressed, and we know he flew. We have pictures of him flying. But he wasn't educated enough, as the Wright brothers are, to have all the funding and all they needed. But so either way, it was just great. The West End of Bridgeport, there used to be a saying, if it wasn't made in the United States, a part of it was made here. That's how great the West End was, whether it's Hungarian or Polish or Irish or whatever. I'll tell you, we had some craftsmen that just mind boggles my imagination today when I think.
What kind of stuff was manufactured and developed there?
Well, just a myriad of things, really. Beside the airplane, there was everything, automobiles and parts for automobiles. And like I say, on Hancock Avenue, there wasn't a thing you couldn't get made. If you walked down Hancock Avenue, you could either get a forged or poured or drop forged. You could name anything. And it was done right here on Hancock Avenue. It's amazing.
Now, you also built a replica of Gustav's plane?
Yes, yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, Andy Koch, who's a big supporter of the whole Whitehead, wanted to know if we had him along with a couple other fellows. I'm sorry I can't remember their names, but either way, they were all good people, and they were really instrumental in building the airplane, which we flew over at Sikorsky Airport. And it's got better and better, and we have the aircraft down there today, and it's just been just great.
So people could actually go and visit the
Oh, yes.
the replica that you built?
Yep.
It's down at Sikorsky's?
No, it's right at the Captain's Cove.
Oh, it's right at Captain's Cove?
Yeah, I put a hangar up for it, and we started to build it right there. You
So,
know.
all right, so let's talk about Captain's Cove, because right now that is still in the west end of Bridgeport,
Yes.
off Hancock Avenue,
Well, yeah, Bostwick Avenue.
Bostwick Avenue.
For the Bostwick,
and
yeah.
you call it the place, the People's Place.
Absolutely.
Why do you call it that?
Well, only because I had 16 acres when I first came in. The city gave me a lease on the property. I tried to get a China lease, but they didn't understand what a China lease meant. So in the meantime, I get a lease of about 80 years. And for that, I gave like 4 acres to start a new school, which was over $100 million, and which is very active right now, the agriculture school. And so we're really proud of that, and all the other accomplishments that took place. We do so much for the community because, Marcel, you know, I have to tell you, as far as I'm concerned, I'm just passing through. And I mean, the foundations that we've helped and the money we've raised was just like to swim across the Sound for St. Vincent's, and it goes on and on and on. It's just been great.
Well, one of those things is you're also on the board of directors of the Connecticut Hospice, too.
Absolutely.
And how did that all start with the Connecticut Hospice? And
That started with the greatest senator this state ever had, Senator Doc Gunther. Where I had a meeting up in Hartford with him, and we came down, and he says, "Come on, I want you to stop and see this place." So he brought me into hospice, and I want to tell you, that started it. Now, I don't know how many years ago that was, 10, 15, I don't know, who's counting? Either way, it's just a fabulous place, and the dedication of the nurses and the staff is just phenomenal. It doesn't get any better than this. These people are, and I like to tell people, they go, "Well, yeah, well, don't forget, you may wind up here. So be good and help these people. Help them." So anyway, that being said, I don't know where that came from, but either way.
So you got involved with the Connecticut Hospice through Dr. Senator Gunther.
Yep.
And he was very involved with, I think, pets in hospitals and stuff
Oh,
like
yeah,
that.
definitely, yeah.
And then you got involved with the Connecticut Hospice, and now you're the president, chairman of the board
Yeah.
of the Connecticut Hospice. And what do you have to say, to people out there about, what the Connecticut Hospice does?
Well, one thing, first of all, I'm honored to have that position. I think it could have gone to a lot of different people other than me. But other than the fact that, hey guys, just look at it, and everybody, we're just passing through. Give it your best shot, And as a kid growing up down in the West End with shining shoes and you name it, just to turn $1. I mean, it's been great. And I'd do it all over again. I loved every bit of it,
Yeah, so you said you started out shining shoes in the West End?
Yes.
And then you got into, when did you get married?
Oh, 1949, I think, or 48.
And it says in the book it was your high school sweetheart.
Yes, yeah.
Still
Yeah.
to this day.
Yes, to this day, absolutely. And of course, you say high school sweetheart, she was, but I never went to school, so
Okay.
it doesn't matter. To me, it was like I had too many things to think about, and I go, "Oh, here he comes," And I'm sorry, but I really think that a lot of people, like for instance, I brought this up yesterday at a board meeting at the West End Businessmen. We had a couple of captains and sergeants there from the Bridgeport Police Department, and I asked them, I said, anybody in this room have breakfast this morning with their children? And they all looked at me and they went, well, no. I said, no, because you gave them a Pop-Tart, threw them on the bus, and away they went. When I was a kid growing up, everybody sat around the table, my grandfather, grandmother, the whole gang. And the only thing I can remember being yelled at for was putting my boots in the oven to dry them out for the next day. But other than that, we all convert and talked with one another. They'd say, well, you know, Grammy's got second childhood, Kay. I said, oh, which now is old timers and so on and so forth, you know. But I mean, it was like, so what? But it was, again, boy, and I try to explain to the police department, don't let these kids run out the door. I didn't know if you'd even see breakfast nooks being advertised anymore. I don't see that anymore. So, anyway, that's it. I've had a great time.
Yeah, that has a lot to say about the family and the power of even just having, if you can't have dinner at night together, at least have breakfast together.
Absolutely.
See each other off, especially in these times. You know, kiss your kids goodbye in the morning, but just don't throw them a Pop-Tart. You're right. Sit down, you know, it doesn't take much to make grits and eggs, and yeah, I believe that too. It's very important.
Yeah.
You know, and there's other things that you did too. How did you get into be an iron worker?
Well, my brother was an iron worker. My father was an iron worker. In fact, I think I was one of the youngest iron workers to hold a book. I was 19, and I had a journeyman's book, which is, just to get a journeyman's book, even I can remember my number, 347590, local 424 out in Haven. I mean, I tell you, that helped me. I never forget, I went down to go on board a big yacht by, I can't think of the gal's name. She was a millionaire. She lived in Rhode Island. She's got this big super yacht. And I know you know her name. But anyway, they were booked up. I said, oh, God. So I walked across the street, and there's a Navy recruiting office. I went, wow. I walked in, and I sat down. The guy starts going over all the work. He says, you mean to tell me you're an iron worker and you got a 34? That's your number? I said, yeah. He said, I'll tell you what, you come here tomorrow morning, and we're going to take care of you. I said, okay, fine. I'll never forget it. I go there the following morning for my physical, and the doctor looked at me, and he says, let me see your fingernails. I went, oh, geez, here it comes. And it had little peck marks in it. Psoriasis. That was it. He says, I'm sorry. No way. I said, okay, forget about it. You know, so that was that. But either way, again, all these things that happened.
So then what happened that from being turned down to be in the service at that time, was that during the war time?
The war, that was right when the Korean War started.
About the Korean War, okay.
Yeah.
And then they turned you down.
Yeah.
But you went back working as an iron worker.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. But up until early 51 or 52, I remember putting my feet over the edge of the bed, putting them on the floor, and I looked at my wife and I said, that's it. I can't keep this up anymore. I'm going into business. And that was it.
So you went to business. What did you do there?
Well, I built boats. I built boats for Abercrombie and Fitch. I built a boat a day. They were $1 a pound, and roughly about $100 a boat. I'll never forget it. Oh my God Almighty! But again, it was just great, just great. And then from there, I put up my own building on Fairfield Avenue, and then from there I went lobstering, and from lobstering, which my late wife and I became highliners in the trade. It's with 1,500 traps, you know. We fished real heavy. And I just up and said, that's it. And we took over Captain's Cove.
Okay, and what year was that?
1991.
1991.
Yeah.
So Captain's Cove.
I'm sorry, 1982.
1982.
Yeah.
From 1982 at Captain's Cove, and
Yeah.
developing the property over there, and
Yep.
developing a school of agriculture, and getting involved in the community, and politics too. Did you get involved in politics?
No, I had so many opportunities, I don't even want to go there. And I just said, no two ways about it. That was, whether it was people wanting me to run for governor, which was, of course, Senator Gunther and Freddie Beeble from Stratford. okay, you got to go. You got to be married. All the Bridgeport Post and the WICC and all the radio stations, Channel 12. No. My kids said, Dad, no. Enough is enough already. No. So that was it. I packed it in.
Okay. So then you developed the Cove, and then you most recently be involved with the Connecticut Hospice.
Yes. And then, of course, the Rose.
Oh, let me hear about now. This was a frigate, right?
Yes. A
All right.
British
Tell us a
frigate.
little bit about this.
That was up in New London, Connecticut. I'll never forget. I was with Doc, and I drove by. I said, "Hey, turn around. Let's go back and look at this thing." We called them eel pots, you know. So she went back and looked at it, and I said, "You know, I could do it." He says, "Okay, come on. This is like, you know." So I did. I bought it.
So you bought a frigate that was just standing alongside of the,
going to hell in a handbasket.
and it was in
bad shape.
New London,
New London, Connecticut.
and you just spotted it on the side of the road.
Yep, and then we took it, and I had my ex-son-in-law tow it down from New London into Captain's Cove, and 2 mortgages on houses later, we finished it, and we've been all over the world: France, England, Germany.
So this is
Azores.
called the HMS Rose,
His
right?
His Majesty shipped the HMS Rose, yes.
Right. And a frigate. Tell people what a frigate is.
Well, it's a 3-masted, 22-gun ship, of which, you know, I have to tell you, you know, when I was running this whole operation, like the state would say, well, we're going to give you $500,000 for everything you've done for the state. And I said, wow, that's great, you know. And halfway through everything, they called me up. They said, Mr. Williams, but we ran into financial difficulties and we cannot give you the money. We'll give you $250,000. I said, that's better. That's better than a stick in the eye. He said, okay. So that went on. Now I'm bringing up all the tall ships. I'm the lead ship coming out of New York with the Eagle behind me and a lot of South American ships. And we're coming up, and we're off New London, and I get a call. I said, Kaye, yeah, the state will give you $25,000.
Oh, so it kept going down.
I said, I'll tell you, you know, other than the fact that I needed the $25,000, but you had Fort Trumbull. I'll never forget it. Fort Trumbull had 2 big pop guns out front. They just spent $13 million resurrecting it. So I said to the captain, all right, that's it. Run up the Union Jack, drop the American flag. We're going to take that goddamn fort back for the British. Wow. He said, I'll lose my ticket. I'll go to jail. He kept that up. I couldn't, I owed him money as his captain. So I said, all right, the hell with it. You know, you got no life in you, you know. So anyway, that all worked out. And then, of course, we sold it to my daughter, my late daughter, sold it to 20th Century Fox. And we had Master and Commander with Russell Crowe. We had the whole group down there. And
yeah, it was actually in the movie Master
and Commander, yeah.
With Russell Crowe.
Yeah.
And that's the ship.
That's the ship.
And so they then moved it from
here
to...
Well, what happened there was that my daughter said to him, well, you know, they chartered it. And then my daughter said, why don't you stop playing around and buy the ship? You can burn it if you want, you know. They said, no, we'll buy the ship. And they bought the ship. They, in turn, donated it to the Historical Society in San Diego, which, as we sit here today, it sails every weekend.
Wow.
Taking kids out sailing.
Great.
And I couldn't get nothing from my state. In my own city, as poor as they were, they couldn't afford nothing. So I said, the hell with it, I just keep on moving, you know. But that was
so that was an adventure.
Oh. Yeah, wow, that was...
Now, one of the things that's in the book, I think, is there was a big storm which knocked over a lot of trees, and they used some of the trees for the lumber of the ship.
That was the Gloria. That was up at the Beardsley Park. It knocked a lot of good trees down, and I went up there with chainsaws and stuff and slabbing material. And we just cut all the trees we could cut. We used all that oak from the Beardsley Park and brought it down to the cove and used it.
To help repair the boat.
Oh yeah, we couldn't afford the lumber. And
yeah.
There was some big pieces. We're talking, you know, 10 by 24 by 30 feet long, heavy timber, you know. But it was just, it was, Oh, and I met so many great guys that took part in that and just loved every bit of it. What an experience for them as well, you know.
Wow. And then your involvement with the Connecticut Hospice.
Yes. Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, other than the fact that I got to thank Senator Gunther and of course Roe. I mean, she's just dynamite. There's no business like show business. Roe, I call her. She is just a fabulous woman, really, really. And she's just bent on making sure that place continues to run. And we do need help. There's no two ways about it. We need all the different organizations are all gathering. We be a different. I'm not going to go mention these because I'll get into trouble. But gee, we need help. We need help. You know what I mean? And I constantly keep trying to tell people, I come in bare ass. I'm not going to go out there. There's nothing. There is nothing. What the hell? What would I try to accumulate? Nothing. I don't care about accumulating anything other than helping people. There's not. And if you don't feel that way, well, I'm sorry for you. You've lost out.
Now, talking about that, that's a legacy situation. Let me hear about Mars and the Mars deed. Kaye is, I think, the first American or first human to actually buy and deed land on Mars, which is truly amazing. Here he is. Here's the Mars deeds that he's got. And these coins, let's see if you can see that coin. On the back side of the coin it says, when you land on planet Mars, present this token for a free fish and chips, which means a free fish and chips from Captain's Cove, which will be on Mars. So, Kaye, tell me a bit about this.
Well, as you know, you have to ask my children about this because I have all types of ideas, and this came up. In fact, I had the lawyers down. Now, I only bought 5 acres, and it really aggravates the hell out of me that I only bought 5 acres. Because the attorneys came in and I said, well, what are you looking for? I said, I'm looking for 1,000 acres. 1,000 acres, Kaye, what are you going to do? I said, wait a minute. Russia doesn't own it. The United States don't own it. Germany, nobody else, China doesn't own it. So why shouldn't Kaye Williams own it? I mean, all the settlers that came here who had nothing but run into a wall of Indians, they didn't know what the hell to expect when they got here. So it's the same thing on Mars. I just felt that, again, I like to give them out. I give the coins out to little kids 4 or 5 years old because I tell them, someday you may be on Mars. You know. So then, of course, my son says, "Well, Dad, you know, it's about 150 degrees. The heat is terrible." I said, "Well, then I won't need stoves to cook the fish, and you got another part that's ice cold, so that's all right. I'll sell ice cream. What the hell do I care?" You can't believe the people that are on the moon, as we sit here right now, who have property on the moon.
Who has property on the moon?
People, different people like you. Could be your secretary. Could be anybody.
Right.
Yeah, and so me trying to get Mars is like, so what? Well, who the hell are you? So they go, okay, all right. So
I never even thought about it, about buying property on the moon, or buying property on Mars.
Well, I like.
And you're right, because when the settlers came over, they didn't know anything even about Wyoming. It took them hundreds of years before they even discovered Wyoming.
That's right. I like this. When I sit with the attorneys, they go, "Well," they go, "Oh, okay." I said, "Wait a minute. Isn't it nice to have on your letterhead, plus we represent the clients on Mars? Where do you get this? Where can you get PR like this?"
Well, let me tell you something, Mr. Kaye Williams. In your book, I've heard that, next to P.T. Barnum, that you are the greatest salesman and entrepreneur. And after today, I must say, I really believe that. in the whole United States that you are truly, truly a man of distinction. It's an honor and a pleasure to have you here on my show. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Kaye Williams, thank you very much for coming, listening to our talk show called Let's Talk. And I look forward to bringing somebody interesting and wants to share something the next time. So good night, good day, and from Mars, I'll see you to get some fish and chips. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Thank you.